AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. All about the birds, all birds, all the time.
Hello, Matt. Question for you here. I'm going to start off with a question.
Let's do it.
All righty. Now we talked about it last time.
Yep.
How many penalties are going to be called on the Tush Push this week versus the Rams?
Yeah. I was saying in another group chat, like, be prepared for like 3 or 4 penalties called against us on Tush Pushes. You know what it reminds me of? I brought this up too. It reminds me of a couple years back when we were running heavy RPOs. We were getting flagged
Legal man downfield.
Legal man downfield. And there was one game in particular at home where they sent out a memo and they called the Eagles on that probably 6 times, it felt like. I think this is going to be a similar game. I think it's going to be very frustrating for us at home. But
what if they don't run it once? Wouldn't it be crazy if they don't even need it?
Absolutely hilarious if they just ran a standard QB sneak or a run up the middle. But that's not going to happen because it's a safe play. It's a safer play for everybody involved. And it's one of the more automatic plays that the NFL has ever seen, specifically for the Eagles. So I don't see them not running it. That would be hilarious. It would be so petty of Sirianni. But I'm just preparing anybody that's watching this game at home or especially at the link. Be prepared for some frustrating calls. So
I was listening to Jason Kelce this morning talk about, bringing it up. They brought it up, of course. It's kind of what's in the news. Anytime the Chiefs complain about something, it seems like the league then tries to reinforce. They have to try to, make it make their amends there. By the way, the Giants are going to get absolutely slaughtered by the Chiefs this week. It's just what's going to happen. But we're not talking about that. So what he was talking about was how the NFL a couple of years ago, as you probably remember, they were calling in the neutral zone on Landon Dickerson when they thought it was Landon Dickerson's hand that was in the 4-point stance, when in actuality it was Jason Kelce's hand, which is legal. He is allowed to be in the neutral zone. As the center, he's allowed to be there. So his hand is allowed to be there and everything. And they kept thinking it was Dickerson's. I remember it got called a couple times. And he said, don't be surprised if the Eagles get a couple calls. It's unfortunately it's what's going to happen. And, I'm just over it. It's so exhausting and I'm sure the players are absolutely annoyed as hell. Like, I know Jordan Mailata was talking about it and, just saying it kind of screws them up. And one thing that he said, I do want to bring up to you because I heard him talk about it, how especially Washington, the Packers, now they've seen the Packers, Commanders, and Rams so many times in the last couple games. If you look at it, and the Cowboys, of course. But what he was saying was other teams are shouting out their cadence, trying to get them to jump, which you're not supposed to be doing. As a defensive player, you're not supposed to be shouting and trying to –
it's unsportsmanlike conduct, yeah.
Exactly. So apparently they've said that to the officials and stuff too. So listen, it goes both ways. If they're going to complain and again, another player, Todd Herremans, I was listening to his podcast with Trey Thomas, and he had mentioned, he was talking about it, that if you wanted to slow down as much as they've been slowing everything down, every play, you're going to have somebody probably false starting almost every play because you cannot slow it down like the naked eye. You can't slow it down to be so slow that the guy's starting to move. It just, I don't know.
Like,
to me, it's just ridiculous.
Jawan Taylor got away with it for 3-4 years, ironically.
And they started calling it.
I mean, he would line up in the backfield and get a head start. So, like, listen, if you to your point, if you slow down any play, you're going to have some sort of false start, offsides, right? Like, people are jumping snaps. These guys are the best of the best in the world. They're looking for any advantage that they can possibly get. And like Lane Johnson, I guarantee if you slow it down, Lane Johnson is probably offsides.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to do it, like if you really wanted to pull a Jawan Taylor and take a look, and he's a master at getting that, quick kick step in.
Well, he needs to, because he has absolutely struggled since he's signing a huge contract with the Chiefs. So he needs to try to get as much as possible, because even that really isn't helping him all that much. But Jawan Taylor.
I just mentioned Lane, and I had a heart attack. I thought maybe I was missing something.
No. I'm talking Jawan Taylor.
Lane is a stud. But yeah, no, I agree. He's been dog shit. Jawan.
So we talked about it. It's kind of as far as I want to go with it. We know what to expect. We're not just going to keep talking ad nauseum. Go ahead.
Is like, just be prepared for as much as I think they're gonna get us. I do believe there is an initiative to look at offsides on their end as well with neutral zone infractions. The ref that is actually reffing us on Sunday, Brad Rogers, the last time he reffed us, we won on a tush push in Chicago. And
2022.
There was a flag on the play, and it was defensive neutral zone infraction. So I would hope they ref it both ways. They officiate it both ways. I don't think that's going to be the case, but silver lining maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. The next thing I want to bring up here. So on Sunday, it'll be the first time in 10 years the Eagles have done this at home. And of course, we know what it is because as of today, the Los Angeles Rams announced their uniform combo, which in fact is the navy, the blue, or the royal blue, whatever they call it, the royal blue with the yellow pants, which means the Eagles will be wearing white at home for the first time in basically 10 years, because September 20th of 2015 against the Dallas Cowboys, they wore white at home. Looks like they are wearing white at home, which is abnormal. It's not going to be super hot, so it's interesting. I do have a scenario. I know we talked before the show here of kind of what we thought why that was. Did Sirianni lose a bet? What all entail?
Yeah.
What about they're wearing white because of the Snow Bowl? So
yeah.
But
we did wear green during that game.
Yeah, but it was a snow out, it was a white out. So
yeah, maybe it's a jab at them. I don't know. I'm racking my brain here trying to figure out the significance of it. Like, if it were the Cowboys, it would make sense because we used to do that. I remember growing up, we would always wear white at home against the Cowboys because the Cowboys think that their white jerseys are lucky. That's why they always wear them. And we would always wear white so that they would have to wear their blues and get all pissy about it. But this one, I can't for the life of me figure it out unless, again, Sirianni lost the bet, like you said, or maybe it is some sort of jab at the Snow Bowl. And I don't know. I don't understand it. It's a new thing this year. A lot of teams are wearing white at home, which I think is interesting. I've had a couple people say, it's because it's hot. Dude, it's going to be like 75 degrees and we live in the Northeast. Like, it's not, I understand that Tampa does it and like the Jaguars and some of these teams, but like, we don't really have to worry about that. So I don't think it's weather related unless it's an homage to the snow. Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't become the norm of wearing white at home. I just don't, to me, I don't like that, but
I don't think it will.
We'll see, but just wanted to bring that up. So getting into this game, of course, we have the rematch of the divisional game. They had played twice last year. Saquon had 1 million yards.
1 million.
It's going to be 1 million too, but it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of factors and a lot to look at because the Rams defense has played really well the first 2 games. Now, mind you, they played Houston and Tennessee, but still, you got to play the teams you got to play. So they've been playing really well. They're getting after the quarterback. Their defensive line is probably one of the best in the league. They are young, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And then again, that's one huge matchup. And my matchup I want to bring up is going to be in regards. So the injuries all came out earlier in the week.
Injuries on both sides, real quick.
What?
You want to talk about the injuries on both sides?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the injury, and then it'll lead into my matchup. But as you look at the injuries, of course, Dallas Goedert is back, which is a great thing. We need him back on the field there. Apparently, he did want to play last week, but doctors advised him not to. So hopefully, he's able to play this week. Of course, Byron Young today was a DNP with a forehead laceration. I'm not sure what he did.
Yeah, that's a first. I showed that to my wife today. I said, I don't think I've ever seen this on a chart.
Last time I saw a forehead laceration was the parade when Howie took one to the head.
Ironically, Puka Nacua just got his head gashed open last week during the game.
Ooh, yeah, that's. But so you had that.
Will Shipley back. Originally reported a broken rib by Derek Gunn. The Eagles have listed
oblique.
The Eagles have listed it as an oblique over the last week or two. He was back in a limited fashion, so that's something to keep an eye on.
I could see him still missing this week. Obliques are always a little tricky.
They could limit him to kickoff only. Because Mechie's not. He cannot be our primary kick returner. I'm sorry. I love Mechie, but that's not his forte.
It'll be interesting to see what LA does with the kickoffs if they do what the Chiefs did last week and kicking it to that side and keeping it away from Tank Bigsby. So, we'll see with that. But the LA Rams injuries, Steve Avila, the left guard, I believe he's a left guard. He is out. He was out last week. He limited, I believe he was on the field, not limited. I think it was limited. He was on the field, but then he did not practice.
He's had no practice today or yesterday.
Okay. He was on the field, but he wasn't practicing.
Side field running some sprints or whatever yesterday, but was not seen with trainers today, which is generally not a good sign. It generally indicates there's some sort of feedback or setback and that they may not have a very good chance of playing.
Okay. And then, of course, Braden Fisk as well was injured and has not practiced the last 2 days as well, which is a pretty big loss on their defensive line because he is very active on the inside. A big body there, and he's really really good. And I believe in the playoff game, he got hurt early in that game because I remember he was playing well, and then he got hurt early in that game. And I don't think he was able to finish that game.
No, and that's exactly where Carter ran over on that famous sack that really saved our season.
So it's going to be interesting to see.
Is that your matchup that you're watching?
No. The matchup I'm watching goes into the next injury I'm going to talk about, and that is Akela Witherspoon was IR, believe a broken collarbone.
Yeah.
And so he is out on IR, and which means in his place, I believe, is Emmanuel Forbes, which we all know, 2023, A.J. Brown took him to absolute school.
Yeah, I'm surprised in the league, to be honest with you, after that.
And again, it brings that matchup into play, and hopefully this is the get-right game for AJ and the passing offense, and that would be awesome to see. And it's going to be interesting to see how that matchup goes. I think it's a huge matchup because if he's able to win as he was, a couple of years ago, I know Emmanuel Forbes is, trying to get back to that status of a first-round pick and trying to play up to that level. And, AJ Brown doesn't pose great for you to be able to play. And of course you have the Ole Miss Mississippi State rivalry there too, because Forbes did go to Mississippi State. So it's going to be interesting to see that matchup. That's a huge matchup I'm looking at.
Well, and I'm looking at their depth chart now. They actually have Forbes and Darius Williams.
Darius Williams, former Jaguar, former Ram, then Jaguar, then Ram.
Right. So they have Forbes and Williams co-starting there on the depth chart, and then they did also start sign Trey Brown. I don't know how much he has left in the tank, and he's fairly new, so I doubt he'll play much, if at all.
Yeah.
But I have that circled as well. The Forbes Williams versus Brown and Smitty.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I always like looking at the depth charts and kind of seeing who is where. And of course, we'll definitely be talking about it next week because of the team Eagles are playing. There's so much. I always love going into our lads with the depth charts because you get to see so much in terms of, who's in there, who's on the practice squad. It's a really great tool to use. That's if you're looking at depth charts, that's where you need to go. Ourlads.com. They have college depth charts as well too. So it's really awesome to see kind of where play, and they're pretty accurate when you look at the depth charts. But when you take a look,
they also give you some cool, just on our lads, they give you some cool like color coordination. Like it'll show you who's injured, who's inactive, who's a UDFA, who's a rookie. So it gives you a little bit of a snapshot at like, oh, well, you've got a rookie starting against AJ or whatever it might be.
A college free agent, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So taking a look too, looking at that, the defense, if Braden Fisk isn't able to play, it looks like it'll probably throw in there, Laurel Murchison or, Tyler Davis. They'll be put in there because Poona Ford is their nose tackle. And I feel like, adding him was essentially their run defense was not very good last year whatsoever. That was one of their big time. And, them getting Nate Landman, them trying to get that run defense back to kind of what they want it to be. So it's going to be interesting to see because, when you look at their defense, Kobe Durant has played pretty well for them. Quentin Lake is a good slot corner for them. Of course, you have Forbes now in there with Darius Williams, Trey Brown, whoever gets time in there. And their safeties, I believe the safeties in Cam Curl and Cameron Kinchins are a good duo there. So they've got some talent. But again, the biggest thing with them is their pass rush. And if they're able to cause pressure, it doesn't matter really who they have in the secondary, because if you're able to get the pressure and have them either sack the quarterback or have inadvertent throws and, bad timing throws because of the pressure, it doesn't matter who's in the secondary. They're going to be able to attack on that. And I think that's where it's super key for the Eagles offensive line to, a get right game to be able to, be able to stop the pressure and to be able to give Jalen enough time to be able to hit these guys. That's my, main thing. Hopefully we're able to kind of rectify what we've seen in the first 2 weeks. It's been kind of tough now. I think there's some injury in terms of Landon Dickerson, but they've got to start to get a little bit, like, I understand you're winning the game and you don't want, and they did it in the playoffs. They're not, but if you get some, open shots, and again, they had an open shot the first play of the game, and Calcaterra and Granson both weren't able to hit the blitz, weren't able to put anything on the blitzing defensive back. So
2-on-1, and they still
whiffed.
Like literally whiffed. That was a terrible play. Goddard's going to be a big difference maker here. And Fisk, honestly, him being out is I think bigger than Avila being out. Him and Verse gave that side of the line significant problems in both the playoffs and regular season. And one of the matchups that I'm watching, speaking of Verse, is Mailata versus Verse. Mailata has been a really, really good player over the last couple of years. This year, I think he's the highest rated run offensive tackle in the run game, at 91. But Verse is a grown ass man, dude, and he is. I have to say, I have been really impressed with Verse as a player, first and foremost, but as a man as well. I think he handled the Eagles really well and our fans. Like, I think he handled that whole situation of people jawing at him before games and trash talking and being like, listen, we got our butts kicked. Like, he handled it really well. And I think our fan base in general gained a lot of respect for him, which is not easy to do as an opposing player. But Verse put Mailata on his ass, I think, at least 3 or 4 times over those 2 matchups. Hopefully Mailata is a little bit more acclimated to that, and he's able to prevent that from happening. But both Fisk and Verse put Mailata on their ass. So Fisk being out, I think, would be a big loss for them, and I'm sure Dickerson and Mailata would be perfectly fine with him missing that game. But Verse is my guy to watch, because he was borderline game wrecker in that playoff game specifically. So,
and I'm going to throw it here now to the Eagles defense and the Eagles pass rush, because the Rams rank one of the worst pass protecting offensive lines in the NFL. Now, you have Alaric Jackson at left tackle. Avila's hurt, so probably slides in Justin Dedich, which is a college free agent from last year, at left guard. You have Coleman Shelton at center, Kevin Dotson at right guard, and then Rob Havenstein at right tackle. So, like, the one thing is Matt Stafford is getting the ball out, I believe, 2.45 seconds, which is one of the fastest in his career. So he's getting the ball out, and he doesn't scramble at all. He has, like, no scrambles at all this year. So he's not running with the ball
either, until he broke off like a 20-yard run against us, which really pissed me off.
So, like, the way I see it is he's getting the ball out real quick. So if the Eagles are able to get some pressure, hopefully in the middle of the defense with Moro Jomo, with Jalen Carter, with Jordan Davis on a, maybe not so strong interior offensive line of the Rams, then they should be able to, get some pressure in his face. And that's one thing that I forget who it was that said it. I was listening. I think it was Mike Mayock. I believe it was Mike Mayock about Matt Stafford is hit him early.
Yeah.
If you hit him early, you rattle him a little bit, it's going to help you as the game progresses.
I agree.
You want to make sure, especially a guy like Stafford who has all the arm talent in the world, even at his age. I know he's coming off of the back stuff. This didn't play in preseason, didn't really practice. You want to make sure you're putting him on his ass. You want to hit him. You want to, make sure that you're getting everything that you can, because he's not going to beat you with his legs. So if you're able to get that constant pressure, it's going to benefit you as a defense, and make him throw the ball maybe too early and that gets intercepted, or a ball that gets tipped and picked,
or broke it up. We saw Bond and those guys closing on the ball pretty quickly last week. I think Cooper did really well with some of that motion stuff that the Chiefs tried to throw at him. Mm-hmm. Cooper DeJean. We have like 15 Coopers now, so I gotta specify. He had a couple really nice plays where he jammed the shit out of the receiver and he couldn't get off his routes and created havoc. And then quarterback Mahomes just dumped it down to his running back, and he got smoked by Bond. So they can play sound defense like that and disrupt it, and stay with the motion there. Because like the biggest thing with the Rams is their motion. None of it is window dressing. It's all purposeful. They are one of the best in the league at doing it. They're one of the best in the league at getting their guys open. And so if we can keep the pressure and handle that motion, it should be a favorable matchup.
It's also crazy all their tight ends they got. Like Eagles have one tight end essentially.
Yeah, they have some tight ends, but like Higbee's a good player. Parkinson's out. They have Davis Allen, and they have Terrence Ferguson, who could potentially be a good player, but he's a rookie. Yeah. He was a hell of a player at Oregon, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of wanted him in the draft. But I'm not super worried about the tight ends. It's the matchups that worry me are Puka and Devontae.
Tell me what you said earlier. You were talking how much 11 personnel do the Rams play?
Yeah, over 90%.
So
they have the highest rate in the NFL in 11 personnel, which is not something you want to hear when you're touting out Adoree Jackson as your CB2. So it'll be a test for sure. Like Whittington's a good player, but he's no one that Coop can't handle, right? So, but it's most likely going to be either Devontae, who's arguably one of the best route runners in the entire NFL in the last probably 10 years. And then you have Puka Nacua, who is no slouch, right? And
but also don't forget about Tutu Atwell, because they could throw him in there too, who has some speed. That's the one thing, you got to watch with, especially when you look at the game against the Chiefs and you look at Adoree.
Oh man,
he could get beat, and if he gets beat, Atwell can spread the field. I'm just saying.
I just had PTSD of him running into Cooper on the over. Luckily, they overthrew Thornton, but I just this is the matchup that worries me the most, even more than Fisk and Verse on Mailata. Like these guys have legit receivers, and they're going to be playing against Adoree Jackson most likely 90% of the snaps on offense. So Vic's got to bring his A game here. Link's got to get loud, and I don't know if you try to throw Adoree in the slot. I don't know. This is going to be that matchup that keeps me up at night, and it would if I were Vic too.
So I want to then, you talk about offense. I want to bring up kind of what you're hearing and everything this last week, basically about the Eagles, the first two games.
Yeah.
It's the Eagles offense. Concerned? How concerned are you? They just normal first 4 weeks, essentially working the rust off because they didn't play anything in the preseason. What?
Yeah.
But you're hearing it all over. You're hearing the chatter. You're hearing, people say, oh, well, it's not, you've had new offensive coordinators the last how many years, and it's been stagnant. And there's only one common denominator, and it's not the offensive coordinators. It's the head coach and the quarterback. And why isn't the offense, humming like it should be when you have all these stars?
Yeah. I'm trying to find that stat I sent you. There's a good one from, I believe it was ESP, or I'm trying to find it, but or maybe it was
when they're in the pistol, and when they're like the percentages that they do.
There was a stat. DeBona did actually mention that they're using motion at a slightly higher rate through the first 2 weeks than we did with Kellen Moore in 2024. But there was another stat, and I'm trying to find it. I don't want to take up too much time here, but basically what the gist of the tweet was is that our EPA is eerily similar than it was last year at this point in the season. Mm-hmm. And we're actually a more efficient offense, which is terrifying. Because I don't know if everybody remembers, because the Super Bowl cures all, but like we didn't score in the first half of the season for like 8 weeks, or the first quarter of the season. Sorry. And so like, this is not super concerning to me, mainly because it's a new coordinator. It takes a coordinator a long time to learn his players. It takes a long time to get the feel for play calling. He's never done it before. It's not even just a first-time play caller for the Eagles. Like, he's never done it before. And so they're still trying to marry a little bit of what Kellen did last year. He's trying to find his own identity. And it took us until after the Saints game last year, really, to find our identity. So don't forget, the first five weeks of the season, we were 2-2. We came into that bye after getting our asses kicked by the Bucs and came out firing and never looked back. So I'm not concerned, mainly because we're 2-0. If we were 0-2, we'd probably be having a different conversation. Yeah. But like, we got to keep the main thing, as Jalen says. Like, winning is the goal, and he's right. It doesn't matter how you do it. as long as you win.
So
like that, what he said to Chris Jones at the end of the game, like, "Well, you didn't have 100 yards, dude. We won. Like, what are you jawing about? Why do we play the game? Do we play the game for stats, or do we play the game to win? Because last time I checked, it was for glory, and it was for winning the trophy and winning a ring. And right now, the Eagles are doing what they have to do to win.
So, two things I want to bring up, you know, because to me, it's just like,
and while you're talking, I'll see if I can find that stat.
It can go a couple of ways here. You could be the Giants and Russell Wilson and have the most passing yards in the league, the most receiving yards in the league, and be 0-2. To me, it's just you have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who won the Super Bowl MVP, you know, played so well in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game, and then in the first two playoff games, you know, wasn't, you know, spectacular, but he didn't make the mistakes and won the game. So, you know, a lot of people, they're just going to find something to bitch about. Essentially, it comes down to. But the way that I look at it,
I don't think the complaints are unwarranted, though.
No, I get some of the complaints, but I have to look at it like this. Back in 2003, Donovan McNabb did not throw a touchdown pass until week 5 to the fullback, John Ritchie. Now, I understand everything's different in terms of playmakers and who he had on everything. I get that. Now, it was week 5. It was game 4 because they had a bye week after week 2. But he didn't have any touchdowns. Like, he didn't rush for any touchdowns. Jalen has 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I know, you know, I'm just, you know, given that. But the other thing was, in his last 19 games started, he's 18-1. The last 18 games that he started and finished, he's 18-0. Like, what more do you want? Like, you can make the stats look great and everything, and I get that. But all in all, what matters in the end is coming away with more points than the other team, no matter how you get those more points. Like Jalen could throw for 25, 30 touchdowns, but if he has 17, 18, 19 interceptions, there's going to be a problem. He's turning the ball over too much. There is no happy medium. And I just don't believe there ever will be, because when you have radio stations that want to nitpick everything, to me, it's just, you're never going to win. You're going to have people that are literally arguing with former NFL GMs and people who study the game, arguing, saying what they want, but they glorify a guy and suck his nuts who hasn't done shit for a basketball team that is a debacle. I'm just saying, like, to me, it's just, it really boggles my mind sometimes when you can think about this player is the greatest thing that hasn't done fucking shit, hasn't gotten past the second round in a playoff series, when you have a guy who has beaten all the odds, has been benched in college, has come in the second round, has beaten the franchise quarterback that they traded away, and was able to take the team to the playoffs every year that he has started. Plus, he's been to the Super Bowl twice. Like, I just don't know what more people.
One of the best quarterbacks. He outplayed a borderline. I mean, he's probably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, he outplayed him both times. Not just by like a little bit. Like, whooped his ass, dude.
Yeah. And listen, don't get me wrong. Do I need to see a little bit more? And I'd like to see a little bit more, maybe some more shots down the field. Like, I get that. I understand that. But
it hurts. Like, some of it may be, sure. Like, there are might where he not see it. He doesn't utilize the middle of the field like we would want to. But like, we saw that play, the first play of the game. They drew up a skinny post to AJ. He was wide open down the field.
But Dallas Goedert is in the game, that ball is to AJ.
If Dallas Goedert is in the game, that's a first play touchdown.
Yeah.
And so, like, as far as I'm concerned, I think Jalen Hurts is playing tremendous football. And I know that sounds weird because, again, he had 101 yards passing last week, but like, he's making the right throws. He's extending plays when he has to. When protection breaks down or Calcaterra forgets that he has hands, like, he's making the plays that he needs to play, that he needs to make, and he's winning football games. He's making really good decisions. He's making really good throws. And that throw he had to Smitty down the sideline at the end of the game, which essentially broke the Chiefs' back, and led to the game-winning touchdown. Like that's big time stuff, man. And if you look at that game and you say who handled the blitz better from a quarterback perspective, it was Jalen Hurts all day.
Yep.
We didn't have built-in reads, and you and I talked about it. Like, we'd love to see some more quick hitters that fill in behind that blitz, right? That some slants, some hitches, some screens, whatever. When you can see that blitz, but like he knew that someone was coming. He knew he had to get it out. He knew he had one-on-one against Smitty. He trusted his receiver, and he made a throw that he knew was safe. That he knew that Smitty would either come back through the defender and draw a PI, or he'd catch it like he always does. Like that's trust in your receivers, and that's making the play when you have to make it. And Jalen Hurts has done that consistently. And like I don't know, like I would rather take 101 yards passing and win the game than 352 yards and 4 touchdowns and lose.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if he put up the stats 1,000%, but he did it in the Super Bowl. So, like, let's cut him some slack.
But the thing about it too, there was another stat, I believe. I don't know if you sent it to me. The Eagles, I forget what the timeline in terms of how many games or whatever, but it showed the Eagles had 38 takeaways to 9 turnovers.
Yeah.
Like, my thing about it is this: like, if you're not giving the ball away and you're letting your
19 games, by the way, that same stat in the last 19 games that he played and started.
If you have your Pro Bowl caliber punter able to drop the team into opposing territory to have to drive all the way down the field and not giving them short fields because you're fumbling and you're turning the ball over, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to be able to win games because you're not doing like. There's a method to their madness, 1,000%. And there's a system that they have. Like I get what people and when people want to see high flying offense in the Eagles, it's boring. But to me, it's this: you gotta stop complaining. They're winning games. It isn't about the explosives and the fireworks and everything. Because if all in all the fireworks come and all that, and you lose games because you had a miscue, a turnover. Yeah, the Chiefs they turned the ball over in the red zone.
That one mistake is what changed the game.
Costly. Yeah, exactly. No doubt about it.
They made 2 mistakes, and that was it. I agree with you. I really do. And those plays will come, man. Like this, and that's one of my keys to the game. And we'll get into our you like the locks, but I think big plays are going to come this week. And we also have to keep in mind, teams are playing us differently now, right? Like teams are going in and saying, Saquon is not going to beat us. Hurts is not going to beat us with his legs. They're stacking the boxes and they're shading coverages to AJ. And they're saying, beat us with Smitty, beat us in the middle of the field because we know you won't throw it in the middle of the field. And so they're playing us a little bit differently. And it's going to take Patullo and Sirianni and Hurts and the receivers and the running backs and the offensive line. It's going to get them coming together and saying, hey, what's our identity? How are we going to combat this now that the target's on our back? And how do we move forward? And it'll come. It took us 5 weeks last year to get there. And I have faith. If there's one thing I have faith in, it's that this team will figure out a way.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% correct there. I said, do we want to see more? Yeah, absolutely. But that's not what it's about right now. But it'll come. Glad you said.
It'll come.
Yeah,
and this is the hardest part of our schedule right now. This first 6 weeks where it's like,
oh yeah,
like the 2023 gauntlet, right? That we had to go through. So if you had told me that we were going to start the season 2-0, I'd take it. I don't care what it looks like. If you can finish 2-0 in the first 2 games and do it healthy, knock on wood, I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, it brings us to a segment that you had talked about, and are you like a locks?
It's time for the You Like a Locks of the week. Who's your lock?
You better not take mine.
And I'm not going to take yours.
Good.
But as we recap the Uleka Locks from last week, I know we had mentioned it on the post-game show. You had Eagles 3+ sacks, a turnover, and under 30 points. Unfortunately, you did not hit that. You got the 3 sacks wrong. They only had 2 sacks. I was correct in my Lehigh Mountain Hawks beating your Duquesne Dukes. So I'm going to keep calling them. So.
It's pronounced the Lehigh Pigeons.
Well, pigeons.
It's not a real thing. So anyway.
It is. If there's a hawk on the mountain, it's a mountain hawk. So it's pretty simple.
It's a hawk.
You Duquesne came and spell your school correctly. Win by 14 or more.
Yeah.
So we have that now this week.
Lehigh sucks.
Do you want to go first since you say you have one? You want me to take it? I'll let you go first with your Uleka Lock.
Sure. Mine is Penn State will not lose this week. Lock.
That cannot be a lock since they do not play.
Yeah, well, that's a lock.
It is a lock. You're right.
Hurts and A.J. Brown connect for their first touchdown of the year. That's my lock.
Okay. I like it.
I'm going. I see. That was my mistake the first 2 weeks. I was too ambitious. It was too specific. I'm sticking with.
Yeah. You gotta go something a little more simpler.
Go on that level. I'm going to get on the board, and then we'll go from there.
I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win by 3 scores.
Wow. I keep forgetting we can do non-Eagles. My bad. I'll come up with some good ones next week.
So we'll see. They play on Sunday Night Football, so we'll see. They play the New York Giants, the G-Men.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun for them. R.I.P. Giants.
Yeah, sorry, Giants, but that's what's going to happen to you. It's not going to look good.
Yeah.
This now brings us to our predictions. And I'm going to go first. I think it's going to be a tough game. It's 1 o'clock. I know the LA traveling, 10 o'clock over there. You have that. I don't take too much into that. But I think it's going to be a tough battle. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Eagles defense will be able to create pressure on Matthew Stafford. I'm going to also say this. I believe Matthew Stafford may not finish the game because I believe he'll be hit a few times.
I agree with that.
But I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles with a 24-23 victory.
Wow. Okay.
So, and listen, the way I get to it is I think late the Rams, kind of like the first game, scored late, and then they try and they fail at trying to get onside kick and stuff like that. So I think the Eagles will have a lead, and then the Rams will score and then try to either get the ball back, and they'll fail at that, and then the Eagles will come away with the win.
Interesting. I had a little panic attack because I thought you were going to say the same score. I feel the same way. I feel like there are going to be some explosive plays. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be for both teams. I think there's going to be some breakdowns in coverage. I don't know that Adoree Jackson can hold up, but especially early in the game, I wouldn't be surprised if we're down early. But ultimately, I think the Eagles get pressure on Stafford. They play mistake-free football. The Rams do not. The Eagles come away 24-21. I believe it is going to be a tough one because listen, the Rams have had this circle since January.
Yeah, I agree.
Including their fans, they are pissed off. They're ready to go, and quite frankly, they're probably pretty embarrassed the way that they got absolutely manhandled by Saquon Barkley. So, I think they're going to come out firing. I think they're going to be pissed off, but ultimately, I think we're the better team.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a fun one.
But be there.
Yeah, root them on. Be loud.
Look for me on TV, guys. I'll be the fat drunk guy in the Eagles jersey.
Oh, that's great. But with that, we thank everyone for tuning in, and make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. Make sure you're liking, the YouTube page, Instagram, all that, all the content.
And we do have some giveaways if you want.
We will have some giveaways. We're just get your friends, family, whoever it may be, to subscribe. Every time we reach 100 subscribers, so every 100 subscribers, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So, get your friends, your family to make sure that they are, subscribing to the channel, and we'll start doing some giveaways. So, with that, as we always say it, we'll always end it with a very happy and joyful Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.